we'll now progress with a Q&A with Patrick Deleuve, who is from the Netherlands, and he's the co-founder of The Next Web, which is a platform that includes a blog, conferences, a website that you can follow developments in technology, business, and culture. We're very pleased to have him here, and we're going to talk about the future of Twitter. I'll try to make this as much as possible a interactive session, so I'll be calling upon you to ask questions in the next few minutes. So please introduce yourselves and keep your comment or question very, very brief. My name is Sultan Saud Al-Qasmi. Patrick, welcome on stage.
Thank you.
So I think you agree with me that the presentation was quite impressive.
Yeah, it was very good presentation. Of course, yeah. I always, you see Twitter in a way, that it's highly engaging in this area, and there are always some question marks, and I think that's also what we are here for.
So Patrick's business side, The Next Web, gets about 7 million visitors a month. So it's quite an important website, and that's why we're going to be asking him about Twitter as a company and the way forward. Let's get down to business.
Yeah.
Okay, so niceties aside, let's ask some tough questions.
Uh-oh.
Twitter, social media, Twitter in general, should it be self-regulated, or should it be regulated by the company, or should it be regulated by the government? Should it be a free space, completely free?
That's a good question. I'm going to choose the side of the companies here. I don't think the government should be too much involved in this. I mean, the internet is a beautiful thing. We have the freedom of speech. I think we should preserve that. And you always have the option to follow or unfollow somebody. So I also think it's undoable to comply with all rules in each country, and so here there are different rules than, for instance, in the US or in the Netherlands. So I'm going to choose the size of the company.
Let's take a quick poll from the audience. So I was asking him about Twitter and social media regulation. Do you think that Twitter or social media, if you think it should be self-regulated, so the person, the user regulates, put your hand up now. If you think that the person has to regulate his use. Okay.
Okay, the people at Twitter don't think that, by the way.
Now, if you think that the company should regulate, the company is the one that's responsible for regulation. We only have two. The rest of you have to put your hand up now, by the way. Do you think it's the governments that have to, the authorities that have to regulate? Put your arm up now.
Are you a minister?
So,
it's probably the mayor.
Yeah.
Mayor.
I believe that's the government who should really take care on this, because they have their own power, they have their own way to scan and check and also regulate. It's more clear, and as you mentioned, there's a difference regulation between country and others. So rather than the company adapt themselves every time when you log in from a different country, the government can control this. And the self, of course, it's number one, as my brothers say.
Are you working at a governmental organization?
No.
No. But you're the only one, actually, who thinks that the government should be involved in this.
I changed my mind.
So maybe we pose, there are instances where there are no governments to regulate. There are instances where you have groups that use social media, so there's no government to regulate. So I think perhaps maybe a fair balance of the three, self-regulation as well as company as well as government, might be a good mix to proceed. Now, what's the biggest competition to Twitter today from your expertise? Which platform?
Yeah, so some of the things that we see at The Next Web, we have about 1.5 million followers on Twitter. Quite a following. We tweet our stories to Twitter, and we see that engagement is going down. So although Shailis, shows beautiful statistics here, and it's all about the conversation and talking, I have the feeling, and that's a concern to me, because we invest a lot to get to those 1.5 million followers. is that more and more people are just talking one way, one direction, instead of actually creating a conversation.
Before you continue, let's get a poll from the audience. I want to see hands, by the way. This time I will call upon you if you don't. Who feels that Twitter is a two-way conversation? Put your hands up now. Okay. Who feels that Twitter is more a one-way conversation? Put your hand up now. So there is a clear majority of people who believe that Twitter is a two-way dialogue. So contradicting what you're saying, basically.
No, it's not contradicting. It is a two-way dialogue, but I think the two-way is getting less. So then let me ask you the question. Who is on Twitter here? Okay, everybody. So who was on Twitter 2 years ago? Okay. Do you notice more engagement on your tweets? Hands up. Who sees less engagement on their tweets? Okay. So some people see more, some people see less. So then the question is, do you still tweet in text, or do you use images, pictures, videos? I think so. What we see, and we do also a lot of analysis on Twitter, so we track 15,000 startups on Twitter, and we analyze all their tweets. One thing that we see is tweets with text show less engagement than a year ago. Tweets with pictures and videos, they show more engagement. And that's, of course, I think the trend, right? So you need to be more involved in Twitter than it used to. It used to be very easy to,
Who agrees with Patrick that tweets with images and maybe video have more engagement than tweets with text? Okay, hands down. Who thinks that text has more engagement? Who thinks like an idea, a statement is more interesting to people?
But the overall trend is more engagement with visuals. But that's a challenge, right? Because when you get into the visuals, you get into the stream of Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Because Twitter wasn't a visual platform. Twitter initially was a text platform. Am I right?
Yeah, true. So so that's when it really becomes interesting. So
where's the text going to? Where are people going to debate text?
Well, long form text, I think, is on media sites, and Medium, for instance, is quite big now.
At Medium, the Medium website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course, Twitter still is. You know, if you look at TV, 10% of all tweets are television related, right? So, and that is often about text. But yeah, so when it comes to back to the story, engagement is going down. So we have 1.5 million followers on Twitter and 500,000 followers or fans on Facebook. But Facebook is sending us about 2 times as much traffic as Twitter does. And we are not posting each story to Facebook.
So less stories.
Less stories to Facebook, but we see more.
Maybe that's the issue, no? Less is more?
I don't think so. I think it has to do with the way Twitter is set up. People click less on the links.
Let's ask here, who uses both Facebook and Twitter? Okay, so amongst those who use both Facebook and Twitter, who sees that there is more engagement on Twitter? Hands up now. Who sees that there's more engagement on Facebook? Hands up now. I think slightly more people see that there's more engagement on Facebook.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I think it's also depending on the person. So if you're good at, if you're into real-time communication, then Twitter is the platform. If you are more on sharing pictures and engaging with your friends, Facebook is more the platform. And for brands, it's kind of like it's both. Yeah.
So what's the biggest challenge to Twitter in terms of, is it social media platforms? Is it lethargy? Is it less engagement? What's the biggest risk or challenge facing them?
So, when Twitter was very small, everybody loved Twitter. And you used it as if you were in a bar and, chatting with your friends. I used to have like 100 followers. and tweeted out something like, tonight I'm going to have dinner in this place. Who's in? And then, 15 or 20 people showed up. I only had 100 followers. If I do that today, nobody will show up. So, and now I have about, I don't know, 20,000 followers personally. So the platform is changing and it's moving more into real-time communication, as they mentioned, and they found, I think, their niche with sports, entertainment, and all those things. But that is where the first users of Twitter are not really into. So I might be biased, but I'm not watching television and going to comment on everything I see on The Voice. I'm just watching The Voice, and if I actually watch television. So from a company perspective, they're worth right now 30 billion. So then you have eyes of the world, they're on you, right? And they have to show growth. So they have to show that video that Twitter is much has the best engagement for brands when it comes to advertising. I wonder if they did the same thing on Facebook and Snapchat and all those other platforms. But they have to show growth, and that's one of their problems.
Because they have shareholders.
They have shareholders, yeah. So in terms of users, they don't see that growth going on, right?
What's the growth? It's about 3% maybe?
I don't know for sure, but the last numbers were 288 million monthly uniques, which is insane amount of people, of course, amazing.
But compared to, let's say, Facebook?
Yeah, that's right now 1.4 billion. And when Facebook went through the 1 billion target, Twitter was at about 225 million. So, Facebook gained 400 million
and they
monthly
gained
actives.
about 88 million.
And 50
okay.
million.
I want to take questions from the audience. So if you have a question, put your hand up. Please introduce yourself and make it very brief.
Hi, my name is Khaled from Zain Jordan. And my question is, why does Twitter has to compete with Facebook in terms of numbers? I think it's a different platforms. And they shouldn't go for like Facebook, they have these circles of friends and family, but Twitter has these media, influencers, thought leaders. So why numbers should care? It's not a race.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a good point, right? It's kind of like what the press is saying. The press is putting this on Twitter, right? So they have trouble showing growth. That's why you see that they're mentioning numbers about the people who are not logged in, the 500 million, right? So they're coming up with their own engagement.
What about 500
metrics.
million versus 288 who log in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Facebook is only talking about monthly uniques.
Yes.
And Twitter sees, okay, we have less monthly uniques, but we have this 500 million people who are not logged in. So I think they should care about numbers.
Snapchat now has become very, very popular, especially in the UAE and in the Gulf amongst the teenage age group.
Yeah.
But isn't that the group that Twitter and even Facebook was engaging with?
Yeah, sure. So that's also a challenge for Twitter. How do they get the youth on Twitter? And to give you an example about WhatsApp, for instance, we call it dark traffic because we don't know where it comes from. But we do know that on the next web, we sometimes, if we write an article about WhatsApp, we add the WhatsApp button there. We have no clue how often it's shared, but we see that the amount of traffic that comes from what we call dark traffic, so closed social networks, is insane, like really big, and it can grow so fast, although you can't measure it, where it comes from. But those closed groups are very important to us. To
closed groups include what? Include WhatsApp, include Snapchat. What else would it include?
Also kind of like Instagram, although you can't.
You can't click on Instagram.
No, that's actually the beauty, right? I think that people really like it that you can't leave a URL there, because then it stays natural, it stays true.
It doesn't direct people away. And
it doesn't direct people away, but it's also not too commercial.
Yeah. Okay, what are the future trends? what are we seeing now? Are we seeing more Snapchats? Are we seeing? I mean, I'm beta testing 4 social media platforms right now, for different groups.
Yeah.
What are the trends that we're seeing?
I think the main trend is video, right? So it's video everything. It's video on Twitter, 30 seconds. It's Vine, 6 seconds. Instagram, 15 seconds. Snapchat, 15 seconds. It's all about video. Look here, everybody is creating short video content. So video is the trend.
Who's using video on social media now?
Okay.
A lot of people.
Who is going to use video on social media? Okay. Yeah. So so I think that's the main trend. The interesting thing will be with Twitter video and Facebook video for instance, for media companies, is how to monetize that, right? So where do you upload your video? And what we see on Facebook is huge amount of views, and they have this auto play feature on Facebook,
which is sometimes annoying, by the way.
It is quite annoying, but you know, for the numbers, it's really nice. So,
who thinks that introduction of autoplay video on Facebook is a good thing? That when you scroll down on Facebook, the video starts playing on its own.
It's interesting.
Who thinks it's
only women? Only
women. Okay.
Yeah.
Who thinks it's a bad thing that the video plays on its own without you clicking on it?
Not all.
I see a bit more people think that's a bad thing. Okay, we have a question here from that lady.
So, hi, my name is Nasab. Whether it is good or no, it depends whether we're talking from brand point of view or a single user point of view. As a single user, for sure, it will be annoying, but as a brand, for sure, it will be much better because it will grab the people attention. It will also give me higher views.
But Patrick, what if you were on Facebook and somebody uploaded a video? The video includes nudity. The video includes something violent. God knows what else has been popping up on social media. So if Twitter introduces this, and you're on Twitter, and a video starts playing, and there's a scene that you do not want to see, isn't that a risk?
It's a risk, but it's a risk they have to take.
They have to have it. They will introduce it. So you are predicting that Twitter will introduce autoplay on social media?
I think on mobile, yes.
On mobile.
Yeah.
So we have to close here. Please join me in thanking Patrick for this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you.